Of course, your comments are welcome on X Spaces, on Facebook, on YouTube, and of course on myjoyonline.com. The handle is Joy News. You can also leave it on my handle on X at Elton Broby. We'll start from the stables of the opposition New Patriotic Party, because the party is embarking on what it described as a thank you tour, and it's been marred by controversy following a heated exchange between the 2024 flag bearer aspirant Kennedy Ohene Japan and the Bono regional chairman Kwame Bafo, also known as Abronye. Now, during the tour of the Bono region, the two party figures openly clashed over internal party matters, trading harsh words and accusations in front of supporters. Take a listen.
Arrogance. And the dear Dubabi Yadri. Raging ha, Moo Sami 2 me 9 quite single constituency. Aqua Catro be said. Yantuaba my candidate, Muye. More Menemotina Damukra, the Munsami flow beside Tuaba, my particular candidate. Professor Marque report, or see ye qua batua, and Sama Yakano, and Nonanano, and this if we're a UCT. Now, Moya propaganda no be yano dia, and not social media say, who didn't panatum now, yeah, Wabakasam and Flower for. Media, I'm telling you the truth. Obia nye Berman Jobia. But party any baby to make cassette is all more member. Member. A back contribution see any zika womu to me be kosese. And they talk as if the whole world is for them. It's not for them. And yet a kruya, like some of them cannot even speak the way they speak. Please, who born dog? Number to me anyhow. Who born dog? Number to me anyhow. Kukuru.
Bigger question this afternoon is whether this tour is healing the party or rather deepening the crisis in the party. The tour itself has sparked debate since its commencement. Political scientist Dr. Kwame Asante has questioned the rationale behind the move, suggesting it serves no meaningful purpose. He spoke to Evans Mensah on PM Express yesterday.
I don't think it's necessary. There are more pressing issues that I would have thought that the party will spend more time to look at it in detail. For instance, we saw the bickering and the rancor that characterized the primaries, and it fed into the whole electoral process. You cannot discount this. So this, even though I've not seen their report, this is something that is still lingers on within the political space that I thought that is an opportune time for them to look at it, deal with it, so that people who are aggrieved, who are disenchanted, you can get them back. The likes of Amakuba, the likes of Apuku and Co., right? These are matters that we need to deal with it head on. So the thank you tour, they could have saved that situation with a press release, and then you go into these specific ones that are really rearing their ugly heads into the whole political business within the party and creating all manner of problems. So for me, that's all.
So also on the program is a former MPP flag bearer aspirant, Dr. Atta Kennedy. He argues that the party should rather be touring the country to apologize for what he described as poor governance record exhibited in the last 8 years.
No, I actually think we need an apology talk rather than a thank you talk. We should be apologizing to the country for our bad governance. And then we should also have what I would call an accountability process, in which we hold to account the leaders of our government and government agencies whose misgovernance and arrogance and corruption caused our defeat. When we do that accountability as well as apology, it will give us more credibility with the public. And as you rightly pointed out, the primary that led to Dr. Baumia's selection was characterized by a little bit of rancor. Somebody lost an eye. It was violence. Actually, I'm told that even during this apology tour, some slaps have been exchanged, which proves that there is a need for more behind-the-scenes reconciliation and other things before we take it public. And respectfully to Miracle Support, What is happening is Dr. Bawumia is beginning to make his case ahead of his competitors. Everybody knows that. We know that was what Nado was doing. That's what Dr. Bawumia is.
Right, so that's Dr. Arthur Kennedy. He currently resides in the United States of America. Now, joining me on the line is a former chief of staff under the former Kufuor administration, Mr. Kwadwo Mpiani. Mr. Mpiani, good afternoon, and a pleasure to have you here on the pulse.
Good afternoon. Good afternoone.
So, one would have expected that being a leading member of the MPP, you would be on this thank you tour with the rest of the executives.
That is, if I agree with that talk, then I should be on it. But I think the whole exercise is displaced. What are we going to thank them for? For not voting for us or what? So I don't think this is a time for this sort of exercise.
You don't agree with the proponents of this exercise. Why?
Because we have done so miserably in this election. We put up a committee to go around the country to find out what happened. I believe the first thing you have to do, after looking at the reasons for this sorry state of the party, you don't go out to say you are going to thank them. The most important is to find out what happened. And then within the party, ask yourself, how are we going to tackle these problems, which this Okwe committee, I believe the Okwe committee might have formed the party. If you are not tackling these issues and decide to go out, thank you for what? That's what I don't understand. Thank you, your members, for not voting for you. If you take a strategy, for example, looking at previous elections, you got just about 64% or so, while previously you were getting a minimum of 70%. So what are you going to thank them for? For not voting for you?
But
I think the whole priority is misplaced.
But maybe Zampiani, I mean, regardless of the outcome, I mean, no matter how bad it is, isn't it incumbent on the party to show some level of appreciation to those who voted and those who may not have even voted?
I believe if you want to show appreciation or whatever you want to call it, they should take that study of the Okwe study and go back to the people and tell them that this is what you are being told happened. And this is what you told that committee. And we believe these are our problems. And ask them, how are we going to solve these problems? Take their opinion on how to solve the problems which the Okwe committee reported to you. That would be a better use of your time than going to say, thank you. What is happening at this thank you? It looks like a sort of showcasing some future presidential candidates. And what has been the outcome? Peter Quarles over there. Is this what we want? Is this what we want to tell Ghanaians that the party has gotten into? I believe the whole thing is priority misplaced.
You think Dr. Bawumia is using this to market himself ahead of the 2028 elections?
If that is the intention, then that is wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that Dr. Bawumia was there. Somebody told me, and I think I heard you playing some sort of, I don't know if I call it, quarrel between
Kennedy Japan and the Bono regional chairman of the party. It happened in Sunyane on the thank you tour.
This is what you want to bring a party together. You want to tell Ghanaians that this is what is going on in the party. What do you want to achieve?
But
bringing the party together or showing Ghanaians that this party is so divided that in the public domain, this is what they are doing to themselves.
But if people
That's what you want to preach to the Ghanaians?
But Mr. Mpiani, if people are hurt, isn't it prudent that they are allowed to ventilate whatever anger they have in them, and then the subsequent phase will be to reconcile?
I agree with you that must be done. But you don't do it in a public glare like that. Call the party indoors and these are our problems, and allow the people to speak their mind internally. They may even put knives and whatnot, but at the end of it, they will be happy. They will be able to express themselves. And then, if we're leaders of the party, you pick something out of the quarrel and to determine how you are going to handle these internal problems.
So if it is...
That's a better solution than this public quarrel.
So if it shouldn't be thank you, then what should it be then?
That's what I said. The party asked Professor Okwe and his committee to go around the country to find out why we lost so miserably. I believe they might inform them what happened. And I believe Professor Okwe and his committee went around the whole country and especially talked to the members of the party. And therefore, what they might have reported might be something coming from the members, mostly from members of the party. So take that, digest it, go back to the party. This is what we've been told. You might have given him all this information. We're putting this to you. Let's discuss it. How do we handle these issues? That will be a better solution to the problems you have than going around to say you are going to thank them. And then, in the glare of the public, you go there and quarrel.
I mean, we are not privy to the content of the Professor Okwe's report, but at least Dr. Bawumia is telling us what is contained in the report. According to him, among the reasons why the MPP performed so poorly in the last election was the fact that the party exhibited arrogance. The party did not listen to the people. When the people were complaining, they turned deaf ears to the complaints of the people. The reason why the party got punished so badly in the last election. And so, I mean, he's speaking to the issues why they lost and saying that we need to do something better.
And who was he talking to? The party?
Right.
Or selected few of the party?
At least the supporters who came to meet him.
If he's telling us what the report finds, let the party know. I'm not saying you should let the party, but that's the way to let the party know it. I believe that's not the way to do that.
But if indeed these are the reasons, the issue of the National Cathedral, the issue of the domestic debt exchange program that led to haircuts on investment, the issue of the president not reshuffling his ministers, even though people had called for it, he said these were the issues. Why do you think the government of President Akufo-Addo was so intransigent to ideas from the people they were serving?
That's a question I think you have to put to Mr. Akufo-Addo, because I don't know why. If these were the reasons, I don't know why he didn't listen to the people. I can't give an explanation to that.
But based on what Dr. Bawumia is telling us, then clearly all was not well within the administration. If, as vice president, he said at some point petrol price was increased, he didn't even know about it, and only got to know through somebody else.
I'm surprised he will come publicly to say those things. And he was a very active part of the government. And he didn't let some of us outside know that this was what was happening. Otherwise, we might have gone maybe to the president to say, hey, this is what is happening. This is what we are being told is happening. Mr. President, can you do something about this?
And I'm guessing that brings into focus his values. If, as number two, all of this were happening, people were complaining, nothing was done about it. He campaigned on the performance of the Akufo-Addo administration. The party is out of power in a very disgraceful election outcome, and now he is speaking to the reason why they did not perform. It called to question his values, as somebody with a high moral standard would have said that, well, this is what is going on. I should just step aside and allow you to have your way if you are not listening.
if I were him, I wouldn't have done what he's doing now. I would even call a meeting where President Akufo-Addo even will be there, the leadership of the party, and come out with these things and said, these are some of the reasons why we didn't do well. How do we make sure that we don't do this again? Let's discuss how do we make sure that if we had an opportunity, we don't repeat this. And I believe that would have been a better approach than what is being done now.
But for you, with ins and outs of the party, what do you think may have been the main issue that led to this dismissal performance by the MPP?
Well, I have to that good. I have some, I don't know if I'll say have some reasons. I believe it's some reasons why we didn't do well. But I want to see what is being put down by the Okwe committee before I speak publicly on some of it, whether they tackle some of the problems or not. If they tackle the problems as I see them, then there won't be any need for me to come out to tell them, well, these are the problems I thought, or these were the reasons why we lost so miserably. Then I'll take that report of Professor Okwe and that colleague that let's discuss this report. It's such an important report. How do we get out of this? How are we not doing? How do we want to work so that we don't repeat this thing? If I'm able to get the report and know what is in the report, then I may be able to come out and maybe say something publicly. Otherwise, I will treat you to say, let's leave it as it is now.
But in the absence of that report even being made available to persons of your stature, the General Secretary is called on members of the party to propose amendments to the party's constitution to respond to the challenges that they had in the last 8 years.
I've heard that. I've heard that it set up a committee to look at that based on the report which was presented to them. That's okay. That's okay. But I believe that at least the gist of the report must be known, if not to everybody, at least some members of the party.
But for you, how should they go about this? I mean, you are an integral member of the party. As of now, you are not even aware of the content, or it's been 2 weeks now. What would be your proposal for the party to go about so that everybody is on board as to the reasons why we lost? So that if you are asking for input to improve the going of the party into the future, it should be premised on a foundation of what went wrong.
I believe the party is called a meeting of the national executive and some other members who are not in the national executive. If they are not going to ask the whole report, they should let us know the gist of the report for us to make contributions as to how to go back to our own supporters to advise them as to what must be done so that we don't go into that situation again.
But is it proper that it appears a lot of the blame is being put on the head of the former president, Nana Akufo-Addo?
That should be normal, because we agree that the government didn't perform well, and as head of the government, you should take a lot of the blame.
But some say that he didn't act alone. He worked with the team.
I believe what did he say? I remember during the elections, he said somewhere that the box talked to him. Didn't he say that?
Right.
So he should take, if we have done so well that Ghanaians were prisoners, he would have been the president that we president. Kufuor's administration has done so well that we should do this. So if the administration didn't do well, he should take the blame for it.
So, Ms. Ampiani, this afternoon you are calling for the party to maybe take a step back, maybe discontinue this thank you tour, look at why it
I believe so. They should take a step back. What is happening is not good for the party, and get back indoors and find a way out of this mess.
So why wasn't this done before embarking on this? Why?
I don't know. I'm sorry to say, I don't know. First, I'm not a member of the National Executive. I'm not a member of National Council, so I don't know what informed them to take this decision. Maybe if I were there, I would have given them my advice, as I'm telling you now. But I don't know. And I can't fault them for the decision they took. When I don't know why they took that decision. But I believe that decision is wrong.
And so they should suspend the ongoing thank you tour.
That's what I believe, that they should suspend it, get back indoors, look at the issues, and find a better way to approach the members.
The other angle is the fact that the party constitution is clear. When the party is in opposition, and the national chairman becomes the leader of the party. In this tour, we appear to be seeing Dr. Bawumia as the face of it. Is it right?
Well, I think you have answered it yourself. If the chairman is the leader, then he should be the face of this tour, not a candidate who may want to contest again. And there are others who also want contesting.
And already we are hearing comments that he is the most marketed person in the party, and for that reason, everybody should rally behind him if the party wants to succeed in the upcoming elections.
That's the opinion of some of them. I don't think that's the general opinion of the party.
All right. So putting the report aside, the party is not in a good place. In terms of public perception of it, it is not the best. The NDC appears to be enjoying so much goodwill because of maybe the way the MPP conducted itself in office in the last 8 years. From the word go, I mean, you've been you are a key person in the party. Aside the report being made public or being made public to a select few, how should the party reorganize itself going forward?
That's what I told earlier on. I don't know what was in the report. But the party believes that what is in the report reflects the views of most of the party and the general public, both party and non-party people. Then we should study that report carefully and use that as a basis to go back to our people, to reassure them that we believe what is contained in this report is very, very true. So let's all of us think together, how do we behave that we don't get to this situation again, if we can give them the opportunity to serve them again. I believe that's what we should.
All right. And then before I let you go, I know that the party has its own internal steps towards, organize party internal elections. Already there's been comments, people are still hurt from the outcome of the last election. Some have called for even the resignation of the entire National Executive Committee from the chairman to the youth organizer. Dr. Nyawotamaklo has made similar pronouncement. Now this afternoon I've seen the former member of parliament for Subin eventually declare his intention to contest the general secretary of the party. Are these comments premature? Are these actions premature for a party that is seeking to rediscover itself?
I believe they are. Do we have a party, as a party, do we really genuinely believe that we have a united party contest any election? We should ask ourselves, do we really have a united party to contest any election? So I believe the first thing is to look at the party. How do we reform this? How do we bring everybody together? If we're able to do that, then we have a party to use to contest any election as it is now, and as you told me earlier on. Look at the quarrel going on there. How can you go and conduct any election at this time? Look at what's going on within the confines of these so-called thank you tours. What's happening in the party? So I believe that our first task is to rebuild the party. That should be our first task. And after we are able to do that, then we should be thinking of election. If we don't do that, we carry these divisions to elections. I'm afraid it won't be good for the party.
What role do you expect people like former President Kufuor, former President Kufuor, the council of the party, what role do you expect them to play in this very moment?
They are the elders of the party. They are elders of the party. Actually, they should call. If they will take my suggestion, then I think they should ask the officers of the party stop this, or come back home. Let's together. Let's judge, and let's better solution to our problem.
All right. Mr. Kojo, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I'm very grateful for sharing your thoughts with us on this, on the way forward of the MPP. Now, meanwhile, another flag bearer, hopeful, Bachi Chairman Tim Ejakun, has issued a statement on the growing tension within the MPP, and I've got the essence of it for you here on the pulse. He says that the ongoing thank you tour envisages a beacon of as envisioned as a beacon of hope and a rallying point to reignite the spirit of our faithful and supporters is unfortunately veering off course, and that, according to him, is not making things right. Now, what was intended to restore our party shine and reconnect us with the grassroots, instead unraveling into bowels of discord, blame shifting, and internal strife. And we go on with a statement. This regrettable turn of events threatens to inflict serious collateral damage on the very fabric of our party. More worrying is steadily eroding the goodwill and trust we have worked so hard to cultivate among the Ghanaian people. And the statement says that in the light of these unfortunate developments, he says, I am earnestly calling on the leadership of the party to act swiftly and decisively. It is time to apply the brakes and reassess the direction of the thank you tour. The same point that Mr. Kojo Mpiani is making this afternoon, they should suspend it, they should call it up, they should sit back, look at why the party lost, undertake an exercise that is not thank you, but in another form. And Mr. Ejakun says, we must seize, he says, let us seize this moment to renew our collective resolve and ensure that the mission of the thank you tour is accomplished in a manner worthy of our party's proud legacy. So amid the sustained internal criticism directed at the party's 2024 presidential candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, particularly for already avoiding accountability for the party's electoral defeat, his spokesperson, Dennis Miracle Abuaje, has come to his defense. According to him, Dr. Bawumia has never attempted to distance himself from the MPP's governance record over the last 8 years.
You and I were at UPSA on the 7th of February 2024. When the president was seated there, all the cabinet members were there, and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia spoke about all the things he would do differently should he become president, and all these things were in there. When he spoke about A-levy and the fact that once he's president, he will cancel it, he said these things whilst he was a certain president. There is nothing the vice president has said on this store that he didn't say whilst he was in office.
Arrogance of power.
Exactly, he said different. It. Yeah, he said it.
He said it when he was in power.
Yes,
publicly.
Yes, because you see, Evans, these things, they are just part of the human nature. You are a big organization. You've appointed close to about 8,000 people. You should expect these things to happen across. What you will do is to continuously conscientize your people to understand that we are serving. And so we should calm down a little bit. But there is nothing he has said that he hasn't mentioned in the past.
But does he accept that he is as guilty as everybody else?
That is why you see and hear him. And I watched him on your news where he said, Yaso yedin, Yaso yedin, Yaso. It is we. There is not a single statement the vice president, the former vice president has made without using the pronoun we. We. His entire conversation is a we. Then he goes on to say, we have learned our lessons. And so what these lessons are supposed to do for us is to guide and shape us to become better than we were in the past. How can any objective, Evans, please give me a minute. How can any objective person have a problem with a leader that is confident and bold enough to admit shortfalls of his organization, which is part of?
Yeah.
Right, so that's Miracles Abuaje, and we're trying to speak to some leading members of the MPP because of the concerns that are coming up regarding the thank you tour. Now, according to Mr. Kojo Mpiani, he served as chief of staff for President Kufuor during his administration. He thinks that the entire exercise must be suspended immediately because the party is getting it wrong. In fact, he says the back and forth that's characterized the ongoing Thank You tour doesn't make for a reconciliatory approach, and that the party must move away from this. First, set up a committee to understand the content of the Professor Michael Quay report. I remember that particular report was put to the party about 2 weeks ago, why the party lost in the last election. The content is not known. The General Secretary says that the party will have to take a decision whether to make the content public. But for now, he is in custody of the only copy of that report available, and for that reason, it won't be made public as of now. We'll see what the party position will be on this matter, whether to call it off or to come with a thank you tour. As we speak, the group is in the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, listening to the concerns of the party's stronghold, the Ashanti region, why the party lost. And of course, we are aware of why it lost, especially in the Ashanti region. The regional secretariat put together a group that was led by the former majority leader, Osei Mensah Bonsu, to probe into why the party lost so badly in the last election, why people did not come out to vote in the Ashanti region, for example, and the facts are well documented. In fact, it mirrors into what Dr. Bawumia is telling us, that arrogance of power, some of the decisions taken by the party were the reasons why the party did not perform well in the last election, and they are embarking on this thank you tour. First, to thank them for voting for them, to resolve whatever differences party members have, and then to chart a way forward in unity to achieve a common goal of winning the next general election. We'll keep an eye on this matter. As and when we have a development, we'll bring that to you. But away from the MPP, let's talk about illegal mining, because a group of security operatives claiming to be acting on the instruction of some political leaders, they've been moving seized excavators from a depot of the Forestry Commission in the Ashanti Regional Capital, Kumasi. The action has been resisted by officials of the commission, who insist that excavators are exhibits for prosecution of suspected illegal miners. And Russ Saridonko was at the depot to assess the situation.
This is the original depot of the Forestry Commission. This is where seized excavators from illegal mining fields, excavators that are being used in illegal mining in forest reserves, have been parked. Now, this morning we had information that there's been a directive from somebody, an authority, that all these seized excavators that have been properly and lawfully kept in the custody of the commission be released. And so you see the low beds here, they were used to cart 5 of the excavators. After we learned of it, we started pulling strings and talking to various authorities, asking why. Now there's another order asking them to return the seized excavators. And so all 5 of the excavators have been brought back. This is the last one that has been brought back. And these are seized excavators. These are exhibits that are going to be used for prosecution. So if you see them, they've been marked, properly marked. And you can see the writings on them in red, indicating that these are exhibits. And so you can see this one, Government of Ghana, Ashanti, and Carrier, the dates they were seized, and exhibit number 01. These are awaiting, according to the Forestry Commission officials, there are cases pending in court. These are exhibits. Who will order for exhibits that are going to be used in prosecution to be returned and released? Who gave that order? And that's the major question that we are asking right now. Now there's been denials all across people we have cross-checked. We are still cross-checking, and at the right time, we'll bring you the right information. Reporting for Joy News, Erastus Asaredonko, Forestry Commission, Regional Depot, Kumasi.
Take you over to the grounds and speak to my colleague, Erastus Asaredonko. So, Erastus, I'm curious to know who gave this order for the excavators to be moved in the first place. Well, we've lost him on the line. We'll reconnect with Erastus. Erastus, good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Well, thank you very much, Alton.
So I wanted to understand who may have given this order for the excavators to be moved in the first place.
So initially, what we do know is that we had national security officers coming in with somebody described by the forestry officials as the regional security liaison officer. and they claimed that they had orders from above that they should cart all the seized excavators from the sites, 15 of them all. And so the forestry officials were not happy with that because they know that by law, they have been entrusted with custody of the 15 excavators pending an action in court. And they have been, the excavators have been properly marked as exhibits that are going to be used in prosecution. And so there was a verbal exchange between them and this man who says he comes from national security, to a point where at a point they decided that they were not going to listen to the national security officials. They will still go ahead with the release of the equipment. And so they sent 5 excavators out of the depot. And when we called, in fact, I called a number of people close to the Ashanti Regional Minister, some close to the mayor of Kumasi. And our understanding was that they are asking them to return the equipment. And that was when, after 10 minutes, we saw that the first excavator on a low bed came, and then all 5 excavators were returned to the site. So, but interestingly, Elton, when you look at the marks on the sticker on the low beds that were used to cart the excavators, these are drip equipment.
Right. Meaning it belongs to government.
Yes, it belongs to government. It has state, the coat of arms embossed right on the low beds, indicating that whoever sent them had access to state apparatus and is in high authority to be able to issue such a directive that those excavators should be released.
All right. So if I get it right, the low bed that tried to take away the excavators belongs to government.
Yes, belongs to government. It's part of the drip equipment. It has the logo embossed directly on the sides of the vehicle. So I was asking myself that all this while, I thought that the state did not have low beds because these excavators you see were brought from Jimira and Jimira Extension Forest Reserves. They were mining illegally in those forests. Some are from a Fin Shelter Belt, from the Nkaria area, and it cost the state money in millions to cart these excavators from the forest reserves to their current location in Kumasi. So if we had brand new low beds, and you could see the insignia written boldly on them on the footage that you're seeing on the screen, why do we go and rent expensively low beds to cart these excavators here only for a directive to be issued that state equipment will be used to take them back to whoever they think they are taking them to?
And as we speak, do you know where it was being taken to before before another order from above said that it should be returned?
They did not state where they were. In fact, I spoke with the forestry officials. They said in their verbal exchanges with them, they tried to find out who initiated the order. They said order from above. Where were they sending them to? They wouldn't indicate where they were sending them to, except to say that there have been orders that they should move the excavators, all of them, from that site. And that is very interesting. I have called a number of the authorities to find them. They have denied knowledge of it. We are still pulling strings and talking to other people to find out if they indeed were the ones who issued these orders.
Stay there for me shortly, Ross. I'll come back to you. Let me bring in Dr. Ken Ashigbe. He is the convener of the Media Coalition Against Galamsey. Dr. Ashigbe, what do you make of this?
Thank you very much. And again, so this one, we place the responsibility squarely on the Honorable Minister for the Ashanti region. He is responsible for this thing that has happened. It is his security liaison officer who is involved. The drip equipment you're seeing, all the regional coordinating councils have some drip equipment that they also keep. So these drip equipment are coming from his place. And so he needs to explain to us why he would and his team would think that they are above the law. In the laws that we have, if you look at the Minerals and Mining Act, Act 995, and you also look at the Forestry Commission Act, nobody can take back, move any equipment that have been seized in the theater of a crime.
Right.
That is being used as evidence. So the minister who is currently not in this jurisdiction needs to explain to us. By this time, I am hoping that the IGP would arrest this NIB the Regional Security Coordinating Officer who was the lead of this, so that he can tell us who gave him the power to do the thing that he purported to have done. We should not have ordered only for the return of the equipment. We should by now have these people arrested, investigated, and prosecuted. We cannot have the situation where you have the CEO for the Forestry Commission, you have the Minister for the Lands and Natural Resources, you have people like Erastus putting their very lives on the line. You have the Forestry Commission people putting their very lives on the line. And then if you are going to a state entity, who've done a legitimate effort, do you go about carrying Kalashnikovs and all of that? This cannot be accepted. These people are undermining the effort of His Excellency, the President. They should be made to pay for the cost of transporting the movement of these excavators. They should be prosecuted. They are enemies of the President himself. These people who went about doing this, and we need to find out who gave the order from above for this thing to happen. We need to go after the job of that person. Not only go after the job of that person should be arraigned before court. We have said it all the time, that the challenges we're fighting, Galamsey, is the political influence, is the fact that the actors that we have put in charge to fight this particular thing are the people doing it. So at this stage, I would not say that the regional minister was the one who did it, but he is responsible for this. It is one of his officers who's done it. It's vehicles that is under his care that have been used for this. And he should be held responsible, and he should be made to act. If he is not responsible, then whoever it is that is responsible should fall under law.
And for you, think that what is happening clearly portrays some powerful persons in government complicity, because to the extent that state resources that were used to cut away the excavators and now returned, obviously, I mean, the ordinary person on the street or the illegal miner who himself ran them cannot have access to drip machines.
This one, I don't know why you want to be sugarcoating it on this from above. The regional minister is responsible for this. These equipment that we are talking about are equipment that are under his watch. His coordinating council has these excavators. So if he did not do it, then we should be hearing from him immediately naming who made this equipment go out. I have spoken to the coordinator for the drip project. He knows nothing about this.
Right.
He knows, Ante van der Poel knows nothing about this. So this will be happening directly in the Ashanti region, and the person who is responsible for this is the president's representative, the Ashanti regional minister. And if he does not come and name who is responsible for this, they will call him as also one of the saboteurs of the efforts of the president.
Erastus, so as we speak, all the excavators are accounted for?
All the excavators have been brought back. I stood there to make sure that the last one was brought in before I left the depot in Kumasi. But Elton, let me say that we have men. The Inspector General of Police recently has shown great leadership. His men are still in the forest of Samreboy, seizing excavators and arresting people. If we are to put the excavators in the care, and that's what the law says, that they should be placed in the care of the Forestry Commission, pending investigations and pending orders of the court. If this equipment can be ordered and released, to who? Then we've lost this fight. So clearly, this must not go down as anything. Somebody must account for this, and we should be able to get to the end of this to be able to continue with this fight.
And for now, nobody is speaking to it. There's no communication whatsoever. There's no explanation coming from the Regional Coordinating Council. I
have spoken to some sources close to the regional minister. They are all denying knowledge of it. I've spoken to the mayor, whose name popped up as well. He is also denying that they were the ones who sent the excavator, the people to release the excavator. So we are yet to see. We are still conducting our search because we have some leads. We are still closing up and see whether we'll get the evidence. When we have the evidence, we'll be able to say it.
That does make clearly this fight is very far from over.
Well, it is only far from over when we stop talking. If the regional minister says that he did not know that the drip equipment had been moved, if these were coming from the KMA and they did not know that drip equipment had been moved, you know what could happen? This drip equipment could actually be taken out of this country and gone to be sold. So it is either that they are incompetent or they are complicit. In both ways, they are not deserving of being leaders and being representative of His Excellency the President. So they cannot be telling us that drip equipment have moved from Kumasi and got all the way to that particular point. And they did not sign for it. Nobody signed for it. Then we also know that the person who led the operation was the regional security coordinator. He's called Jabir or something. I don't know whether I'm mentioning his name right.
Jabari.
Yes.
Jabari. He is working under some authority. He cannot just be moving. He cannot have just moved this equipment. So the situation would even be worse if the regional minister, the regional coordinating director, tell us that they do not know who authorized this operation. Then we will be asking for their jobs because they are incompetent. But if they also knew and they did this, then they should be prosecuted.
Well, we've been trying to get a regional minister. He's unavailable as of now, but clearly
he's not in the country. He's not it's not in the jurisdiction.
All right, but the challenge is that if he must come clean on this matter.
Completely, it is either he's incompetent, and so the vehicles move without him knowing, or he's complicit, or he knows who did it, and he would bring the persons out. So what I am expecting is that the regional minister does not know anything about it, and in the coming minutes and in the coming hours, the regional minister is going to name who authorized for the state equipment to be deployed in the theater of an illegality, abusing the right of the court. It is only the courts. And bear in mind, they also damaged the gate for the Forestry Commission. They damaged some cables that are there. Right. They should be made to bear the full cost of this.
It's very interesting. Erastus, your final words on this matter, so that I'll go back to Ken on another issue.
Yeah, Elton, I just want to say it baffles my mind whether we want to create some form of cost for the country deliberately. All this while I thought the state itself doesn't have low beds. We have brand new low beds, brand new. And we're spending huge sums of money, if I tell you, running into $1 million to cut excavators from the forest, those that are being seized currently. They rent excavators at an exorbitant cost. If we had these low beds sitting there, since when? And I think that we have to be looking into this. The last minister has been doing his work in the bushes and hiring excavators to see, hiring low beds to cut excavators from the forest. When we have brand new low beds sitting at the regional level. Right. I think we have to take this thing very seriously.
And of course, we've not heard the last of this matter. Russell, so much for this wonderful work you've done. And I know that, this is just beginning to unfold, and we'll come back to you on more on this. So, Dr. Sigbe, before we're waiting for the regional ministers to formally respond, or the Regional Security Council tell us what exactly is going on there. But before you go, last week we heard from the CEO of the Gold Board, Mr. Sabi Jemfi. We also heard from the former Lands and Natural Resources Minister, Inusa Fuseni. They spoke the same tune. President Mahama will repeal LI 2462. Does it give you comfort?
It tells me that when the citizens decide to move, when the citizens decide to speak, government will listen. But unfortunately, the CEO for the Gold Board, in as much as he's the NDC communications officer, he's not the spokesperson of His Excellency the President. Neither is my brother, the former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, also the spokesperson. I know they are close to power, and so they might know what is happening. So what I would ask all Ghanaians, if you have not signed the petition, join the about 8,000 people, let us put our pens to that petition till we see.
All right.
There's the representative of the state himself saying it, we cannot go to rest. So we need to ensure that we keep on the pressure till that is done. And it's not only that. What Honorable Hussaini also said, and I've heard a few other people from the NDC side say, the state of emergency is important. You know, if you had declared a state of emergency, who bond up for these people who then will be carrying Kalashnikovs and going into the Forestry Commission yard to go and say they are going to take excavators?
All right. Please don't go yet. We've just been joined by the mayor of Kumasi, Mr. Richard Buedi, also known as Zuba. So, Zuba, the question we are asking this afternoon is who ordered for the seized excavators to be taken out of the Forestry Commission's depot? Are you aware of who gave the order?
Okay, so let me say good afternoon. I would say nobody has ordered for any seized excavator to be released. Since we had the fire incident at Edum, are you listening to me?
Yes, I am.
Since we had the fire incident at Edum, from day one, every activity that we have done there, we have taken advantage of the seized excavators to use them to do whatever that we have to do. And when we finish, we return back. So currently, there's a report available to it that says that we must demolish there are 3 buildings that we have to demolish. And people have started construction. They have started fixing the 3 buildings that have been earmarked to be demolished.
Right.
Last week, we went to fence off the area where they sell the shoes, and they bought into it. So we wanted to go and do the demolition today, and we called the regional schedule coordinator to help us to find the seized excavators that is at their disposal. We did not have any idea that those ones that we were going to use were the ones that are kept at the forestry. So when it was brought to my attention, in fact, it was the general officer commanding the central command who brought it to my attention. So we asked them to return the machine.
So you are saying that
the demolition work that we were even going to use the excavators, we have not done.
So you are saying that the excavators were going to be used for the demolition exercise?
Everybody in Kumasi knows that since day one, we have been using excavators about 3, 4, 5 at a time. We have been using excavators at the Edum side that got bent. And it is these same seized excavators that we fuel for them to do the work for us. And then when we are done, we bring it back. Whoever will take it. So this morning, we wanted to go and demolish the structure, the one in front of where the PGTR phase 2 is. And well, I'll tell all man that I do not have the funding and the power to lead any seized excavator. What was to use take advantage of these excavators to aid us, and that's what we have been saying since the one when the fire incident broke out. Every excavator that we have used at the site are those that have used, and when we put them, we use it, and the ones that we take it back to the Confederate National Security.
Right.
There's not one that we have taken to the site that we have not returned.
So when the excavators were brought back, you had finished the work that it was taken to do?
Because of I've decided to even stop the demolition altogether. Because
of what?
Because of the fact that people are misconstruing this activity that we wanted to do today by taking the excavators to the site to go to demolish. They say that I have given on it. I don't want any trouble. I don't have any mandate. I do not have the power authority to release it. I wanted to use it for good purposes. People have not spoken to me, but once they see that the machines are leaving the site, they are misconstruing. I don't want any trouble. I've asked that they send it back. We look within our budget. When we can raise some money to go and do the demolition at our convenience, we'll do it.
All right. Mr. Kanasugbe, does this explanation satisfy you?
At all. How is it that we have an officer of state? He's going to take an excavator that has been seized, and the law is very specific. I will urge him to go and read Act 995. What happens to excavators that are seized? So you take this excavator and say you're going to use it to do some work. Something happens to it. What happens? The law is that these excavators, when they are seized, they are kept by the police, or if it's in the forest, by the Forestry Commission. You go to court. When the people are found guilty, then forfeiture will be done. Then why forfeiture is done, that is why he gets it. So he's completely wrong for using these excavators for the support work that he's going to do. And that if even we decided that we wanted to go and pick excavators, would we send officers who go with guns? We would send officers who go and break the gates. We would send officers without speaking to the authorities within the Forestry Commission. Unfortunately, the mayor might have good intentions, but the road to hell is laden with good intentions. He's completely wrong. In fact, those excavators he's been using without authority to go and do those demolitions are wrong. And the move that he did today in moving these excavators, he's completely wrong. He is completely wrong. He might have good intentions, but he's completely wrong.
But Mr. Body, was the Forestry Commission informed of your decision to cut the excavators for demolition? Because we are being told that at the time the officers got to the Forestry Commission premises, it virtually became a give and take before finally the excavators were carted away.
To be honest with you, myself, I did not know that these machines are kept at the Forestry Commission until I had a call from the CEO. Even myself, I did not know that these machines are kept at the Forestry Commission. You understand? And I'm saying that Mr. Ashigbe should calm down. In fact, the day that we had the fire incident, if these excavators were not around, if these excavators are not, Kumasi would have had a different disaster. So we use these excavators greatly. It was the same excavators we used to break wall before fire tenders could access the place. You understand? And ever since, the cost element of having to go and have excavators to do that video, we have everybody in Kumasi will attest that at the central business district where the fire tender, at every point in time, we have been using these excavators. So I do not have any intention to court is affected. And then two, it was never, to the best of my knowledge, made known to me that this was all the impression I had was that we have some seized excavators at the National Security Custody at the Regional Police Council, and I needed some to work at the site. But since when it was brought to my attention, I have stopped it. Even the whole demolition exercise, I'm putting it on hold. We are going to look within the constraints of the KMA. When it is that we'll be able to raise some money, we'll be able to. But I feel that, you see, there's danger over there. The buildings are not in good state. The raising money, budget line, and all those ones. And this is an emergency, and I wanted to do with it on an emergency basis. But the law, I don't have any knowledge that the people who went there were national security operatives and they were armed. These are information that are coming to me. So I will get to the bottom of it. I am not one. When an impression is created about me that I am somebody who is misleading, it hurts me. Because I have good intentions to save lives. And the good intentions that I have, it's getting to something, but it's putting my name in bad light. I feel working for the people, I put you on line, yourself in line. It's something that comes with the office. But please, Mr. Shibe, I do not have any intention to misbehave. I do not. It was for a good purpose. The noise that the police are stopped, I am not going to. From now to the end of December, this place, go and get myself with any machinery at that particular place. I'm begging you.
But Zuba, the law is a law. Why don't you go to the due process and get a court order to use it for the purpose that you want to?
We'll do that. We'll do that.
Mr. Sigbe.
My intentions are good. My intentions are to save lives. I did not intend to cause the slightest of disaffection or discomfort for any staff or officer of the Forestry Commission, because it was never in my knowledge that the machines were kept at the Forestry Commission.
Right.
It was never, I swear to God, it was never in my knowledge.
All right.
So I have retreated. I've asked them to send the machine back to wherever they got it from, and then we'll look at how best we raise money to do the demolition.
Dr. Sigwe, let me give you the final words on this matter.
I think that Mr. Jimai has come clean. I think that what I would urge to happen is that there's been a lot of excavators that have been seized. So what we need to do is to speed up the trials on these particular cases. That's why, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources had asked for the state of special fast-track courts to be done. Definitely, this is a mayor who needs equipment. And so if these cases can be tried as quickly as possible, then he can have excavators that will be forfeited and will be given to him. So it's his right. Because you see, his intentions are good. Let one of these people whose excavators have been seized, see any of them being used like this. They go to court, they win their cases, they'll bring a case against the state. So I think that his intentions are noble, at least he's come clean. What we need to do is to urge the Attorney General, speed up any of the cases. And any of these excavators that are forfeited to the state, let's allocate them to the KMA so that he can use that in doing the work. I would appeal to him that as they are doing all of this, and I would hold the feet of Otufo as well. When he speaks, people listen. We should not build another market again. That will be a fire disaster to happen. We should not follow the example of what has happened at Kantamantu. And I pray that he's able to build a market that can allow vehicles to, fire tenders to go in if there's fire next time, and they don't have to be breaking walls to enable fire tenders to go. So, Mayor, please, I think your point is made. Let's just try and do what is right so that we all don't suffer the repercussions for it.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Kenneth Sigwe is convener of the Media Coalition Against Galamsey. You also heard the Kumasi Mayor, Richard Ajimam Abuedi, also known as Zuba, and of course my colleague Erasmus Saradon. So I'm guessing that there's finality brought to this matter. The KMA chief executive said that he ordered for the cutting of the excavators so that today was some demolition exercise in the Kumasi enclave. And then when this was brought to his attention, he decided that he will no longer go through with the demolition exercise. The excavators are back to where they took them. So let's leave it here for now. And but we'll still stay a little longer on the issues of illegal mining. But I've got a breaking news story coming to you very shortly from the Ghana Bar Association on the suspension of the Chief Justice. That breaking news is coming through after we're done with this. So now the ones dug deep into the earth, poisoning the rivers that once gave their communities life, all in pursuit of gold. Now, years later, and miles away from muddy pace of illegal mining, they sit in university lecture halls carrying the weight of their past. Now, once teenager, Galamsey, now students, they speak not with pride, but with pain. In this special Joy News report, two young men, aged 24 and 27, shared their haunting journey from the dangerous depths of illegal mining to the promise of education. They recount the mysterious depths of close friends, the trauma they still carry, and their renewal mission to help restore what they once helped destroy. There's more in this report.
Been in Galamsey for how many years, and why have you decided to go into Galamsey?
Thank you for the question. I think I'm not into Galamsey because I like work. On the 14th of October 2016, I lost both my parents. They were captain of my education. So when I lost them, I have nobody to take care of me. So I need to link myself to Galamsey so that I can able to continue with my education. I think that is the reason why I'm trying to Galamsey activities.
But you're aware that Galamsey is destroying our water bodies and our water land?
Yes, please. I'm aware that Galamsey activities is destroying our water bodies, our lands.
They dug for gold in silence, but now their voices are breaking the silence with regret. For years, these young men survived through illegal mining, popularly known as Galamsey. It paid their school fees, put food on the table, and gave them a future. But it came at a cost to Ghana's rivers and forests. 24-year-old Yao Atta, not his real name, is now a university student, but he says the money that paid for his education was choked in mud and mystery. Several of his friends died under strange and unexplainable circumstances while working at illegal mining sites.
Do you have members who have died through this Galamsey, and some of them who are in critical condition, maybe sick in the hospital or in the houses?
Yes, for the past years I've been entering to Galamsey. A lot of my friends lost their life. Some of them turned into drug abuse, a lot of child trafficking, prostitution. Some of them even fell sick and they cannot work again. They have to send them to their various houses.
Now studying Bachelor of Education in Early Childhood, Yao is not just turning away from Galamsey, he's hoping to lead the campaign against it.
So do you regret going into Galamsey and the fact that these activities destroy our forests, our water body, and even our land?
Yeah, I'm deeply regret for that, because when I sit down to realize what we are doing at the Galamsey sectors, for the next 10 years to come, our children, our beloved brothers and sisters, how to even get water to drink will be a problem. And to get a very good land to farm is also one of the big problems that we have faced for the past years to come. I think if I'm able to get support from NGOs to support with my education, I think I'll be very happy to hear that. And also, I think if I also be a member to be campaigning against Galamsey activities, I will be very proud about it.
He says his education has opened his eyes to what he calls a crime against nature.
So if they give you the opportunity to say a word to communities where you've mined, communities where you did illegal mining, and now they don't have good water to drink, their forest is being destroyed, what would you tell them?
I'll first let them know that I'm coming there for them to forgive me of what I have done for the past years. I will tell them that I have been there for several times for years, and I know the importance of water and the importance of our lands and the vegetation that we have. I think I'll educate them on how we are going to protect our lands, our water bodies.
Yao is not alone. Other students who are into Galamsey are now holding their books and dreams. They say it is time for a new movement to protect what they once helped destroy. Here is 27-year-old Kojo Majid, not his real name. He's a third-year BSc Electricals and Electronics Engineering student.
Do you regret that you guys have destroyed water bodies and forests?
Yes, sir.
Why do you regret?
Because due to the this time around, the way the rain used to, it used to rain, and at first it's totally different. And this thing is also caused by the trees that we have been cutting down, and this thing, the land that we have been destroying, that leads to how nowadays the rainfall, it is not as compared to the first.
Now, what is your goal now? Do you intend doing something to protect the forest, or to even restore the damage you've caused?
Yeah, I'll also do something in order to stop it. I'll encourage my young ones, those that are working there, to also stop due to the damage that we are getting to the environment.
From polluters to protectors, these young Ghanaians want to rewrite their stories. Their past is painful, but their message gives hope to the future. With support, they say they can become part of the solution. They were once buried in the mud of Galamsey, but today they are rising with purpose. One voice, one lesson, and one promise at a time. A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
All right, so you're welcome back. This is Pulse here on Join with me, Elton Bob. Now there's news coming in, something that all of us been waiting for, the resolution of the Ghana Bar Association after their mid-year review meeting that took place over the weekend. There's been a lot of, interpretation given to what exactly happened behind closed doors. Now this GBA, that's the Ghana Bar, so they have a statement. I'm going to run you through that statement now as we have it on your screens right now. And so this is resolution of the Ghana Bar Association passed at the 2025 mid-year conference held at the Labadi Beach Hotel, La Accra, on Saturday, 26 April 2025. Now, the communique says that we members of the Ghana Bar Association herein assembled at the 2025 mid-year conference of the bar at the Labadi Beach Hotel on this day, 26th day of April 2025, stand united in our collective responsibility towards advancing the rule of law, justice, and the sustainable development of Ghana. Recognizing the profound and pivotal role the legal profession plays in shaping a just, fair, and transparent society, the reasserting our commitment to upholding the rule of law, ensuring justice for all citizens, and promoting high standard for integrity within public life. And then they go on. So let me now go through, let me go down and bring you. So these are the resolutions that the members pass at the end of the meeting. Now, matters affecting the legal profession. And there's a withdrawal of directive on assignment of court and fixing of date for newly filed cases. It says, recognizing the directive by His Lordship, the Acting Chief Justice, on the assignment of cases by his office is uncertain, and having regard to the importance of technology and the agency of justice delivery, the Ghana Bar Association respectfully requests that this directive be withdrawn and the use of technology in the assignment of cases to the court enhanced. And then the matter that everybody is interested in, the suspension of the Chief Justice. The Bar Association calls for the immediate revocation of the suspension of the Chief Justice, as it considers the suspension to be unconstitutional, considering the fact that the President, who is not a judge or judicial officer, exercised his discretion to suspend the Chief Justice under Article 146(10) of the 1992 Constitution in the absence of a published constitutional instrument, statutory instrument, or regulation governing the exercise of his said discretion as required by Article 296 of the 1992 Constitution. So that's what they're saying. They call for the immediate suspension, immediate revocation of the suspension of the Chief Justice. They consider the suspension to be unconstitutional. And then there are also issues about the enactment of regulation. The Bar Association also calls for the immediate enactment of clear and comprehensive regulation relating to matters under Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic to ensure transparency, accountability, and fairness in all proceedings involving Superior Court judges, particularly in the context of the impeachment or removal of such officers. They are also demanding the release of decision on prima facie case. You know, there's a case against the Chief Justice. We understand 5 petitions. The GBA says that in addition, the Ghana Bar Association calls upon the President of the Republic of Ghana to immediately release the full decision establishing a prima facie case against the Chief Justice consistent with the established precedent. This disclosure is necessary to ensure that the process is conducted in accordance with the principles of transparency and fairness. And also the denunciation of prejudicial comments. The GBA denounces any and all unsubstantiated political commentary or statement that seeks to undermine the authority, independence, and integrity of the judiciary. The association affirms its commitment to safeguarding the sanctity of the judicial process and resolves to take all appropriate legal measures to protect the judiciary from undue interference on unjustifiable attacks and other matters that the GB is talking about this afternoon. Illegal mining, Galamsey, the Boko conflict, the Santana started mediation effort this morning, and we'll have more for you in subsequent bulletins. And then they also talk about unresolved Ablekuma North parliamentary election. It's been 4 months on Ablekuma North. They have no representation in parliament. There's a stalemate and it's unclear. So this is, in summary, part of the state, the communique. And this is signed by Mrs. Ifwagati, National President of the Bar Association, and Kwaku Jaoba for the National Secretary. Very interesting statement from the Ghana Bar. So we'll see if we can get some reactions from government and those watching this particular space when we come back from this break. Welcome back. This is a pause here on Joy News with me, Elton Broby. Now, the Health Minister is joining me in some few minutes to talk about the Mahama Care and why President Mahama has donated 6 months of his salary to this fund. The Health Minister himself has donated 3 months of his salary. But we'll get to understand what really this Mahama Care is all about in some few minutes when the Health Minister, Kobrami Kantando, joins me in studio. But the country leading security institutions, including the military, police, immigration, and other allied agencies, have voiced serious concerns over political interference, bias enlistment protocols, and the structure of the National Security Council. These concerns were raised during a session of the ongoing Constitutional Review Committee hearing, where the agencies collectively called for urgent reforms. Now, let me start with Major General with the Ghana Armed Forces, Dr. Emmanuel Kotia, who is unhappy with the composition of the National Security Council.
In the case of the appointment of the military command, they should go through parliamentary approval, not necessarily consultation with the Council of State. We have this example in Kenya, we have it in Nigeria, we have it in Sierra Leone, we have it in Liberia. They go through parliamentary approvals. So that is it. But in the Kenyan example is very interesting. I'll make a comparison between Kenya and probably India, and we'll see. The Kenyan example, the recommendation for a candidate for the chief of the defense forces, they call it chief of defense forces, is made by the defense council to the president. Now the president appoints subject to approval by parliament in the legislature. And then the legislature does a vetting and approve before the president then issues or swears the chief of defense staff. Now with service chiefs, the chief of defense forces recommend candidates for the chief of army staff, chief of naval staff, and chief of air staff to the president. Then there's a presidential appointment based on the recommendations of the chief of defense staff. They don't go through parliamentary vetting in that case. So that is the Kenya example I'm just comparing. For the US, the president nominates Senate confirmation of all of the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, equivalent to and all the service chiefs, including even command chiefs like the African commander of African forces, African command, and all the commanders in that regard are vetted by the Senate and approved. These are the differences. But I think invariably, the key thing we need to import here, which I agree with Professor Bafo Adjumandua, is the parliamentary vetting and approval, which is very key.
Let me pick the talks of Dr. Doke, a security analyst, for the next few minutes. So, Dr. Doke, you've heard Dr. Emmanuel Kotia. He says the composition of the National Security Council is not what he likes. He thinks that there should be more technical representation. He's not even sure whether there can be that cordiality in a place where the IGP, the CID boss are sitting in the same space with the Interior Minister. And when they come to decision making, the IGP and the CID boss may not be forthcoming because their boss may have a different opinion to their issue. Is this something that you think that should be given attention?
Well, thank you very much. And then I say hello to you and then the viewers. I think by and large, let's look at, first of all, what our Constitution mandates us to. I speak in that regard because the President has the sole authority. So if we are to go by what the General says, or let's assume the President says, okay, I'm going with advice not only from the Major General, but others. Now let's look at what is going to be done. Then it means you have to look at, altering the Constitution. And not altering that alone, but then also having a mechanism, as the Major General rightly, enumerated the Kenyan case, where the institutions themselves have a mechanism in place to nominate a person who is then agreed upon. Now, in our case, we have the Minister of Defense being appointed by the President. We have the service chiefs, being nominated in that regard by the President, all in consultation with the Council of State. Now, the two different scenarios here vary in that you have one based on solely what the President does, and then you have another one based on what the institutions themselves have done. And I think it's one of the things we have been preaching out for some time now, looking at how the institutions will have a mechanism in place to appoint their heads, those who will lead them in consultation, of course, with the President. And if by and large the Council of State comes in, it's fair enough. But we want to give that room where state institutions will be what, independent and resilient, in that they would now be able to know who is due for what, a position.
Right.
Now, my personal opinion is when that happens, it is going to allow the institution not only to be resilient, but the individuals working in the institution will be very, very careful in aligning themselves or having sympathy for a certain political party just because if they win power, then they may have positions. And that is where the problem is. And that is where I think the calls from the major journal and others are, happening as of now. But it's not something that is new. We've been driving on it for some time now. But as to whether it is going to be implemented or not is another issue. You're talking about politics and you're talking about security. Now, you cannot differentiate or disassociate these two. Politics goes with security. Whoever rules or whoever gains authority would definitely want to appoint people he or she thinks would likely work with closely and trust. You're talking about trust.
Right.
Our politics today does not warrant you to keep, an appointee who has been appointed by an Israel government to still be in position because of what? Trust issues.
All right, Dr. Deke, I understand that you have an emergency meeting, so we'll leave it here for now, but it is something that we'll explore in subsequent bulletin. Dr. Victor Doke is a security analyst. This is a matter that we are keeping an eye on, so we'll bring it on. But in the studio is the Health Minister, Mr. Kobadamika Akando. Mr. Akando, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And it's really good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Congratulations
Thank you
on your elevation.
Thank you.
All right. So we're going to talk about Mahama Care. And President Mahama this morning launched the $3 billion annual Mahama Care's Ghana Medical Care Trust Fund to support Ghanaians battling chronic and life-threatening illnesses such as cancer, diabetes, stroke, and kidney failure. Non-communicable diseases, feel like, accounts for 45% of deaths in Ghana, with cardiovascular issues and cancer making up 19% and 5% respectively. Now, according to that's according to WHO. Now, patients typically need about 50,000 cedis for treatment. Speaking at the launch at the Ghana Medical at the UGMC, President Mahama called the fund a symbol of renewed hope for thousands burdened by chronic illnesses and the high cost of special care.
Today we're launching more than just an initiative. We're launching hope. Hope for thousands of Ghanaians living with chronic diseases. Hope for families battling the overwhelming cost of care. Hope for a future where the quality of life is not determined by one's ability to pay for essential treatments necessary. The Ghana Medical Trust Fund will support specialist-level treatment for a range of chronic diseases, including cancers, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, chronic kidney failure, stroke, and other complications. It will also progressively expand to cover convalescent care, palliative services, and home-based support. Support from the fund will be based on formal applications, carefully vetted, and will focus on costs not currently covered under the NHIS. The fund will operate as an independent statutory trust, governed by a board of trustees and supported by a dedicated administrative secretariat, third-party administrators, and patient navigators to ensure transparency, efficiency, and a patient-centered service ethic. Initial projections suggest the fund will require approximately 3 billion Ghana cedis annually over the first 3 years. And as was said, the main source of finance is going to come from the NHIL, the uncapped portion of the NHIL. It will also include direct budgetary support from government, voluntary contributions from corporate institutions and individuals, grants, donations, and will also be able to invest in order to raise income, investment income. Strategic procurement measures such as access pricing and framework contracting will ensure that essential medicines and diagnosis are acquired sustainably.
So that's President John Mahama there, and he donated 6 months of his salary to go into the fund. And the minister who is here with me also donated 3 months of his salary. Again, you're welcome, sir. Bahama Care, what really is this about? You know, last year before the elections, we had issues with whether the state should take up the cost of kidney treatment. And I see it's captured in this, in the ailments that will be captured under. So is this a long-term solution to some of these diseases?
Good. I think the answer of your question is in the question itself. As a country, okay, you would have to look for solutions for prevailing problems, prevailing conditions. If you come to the health sector, one of the disturbing development in the health sector at the moment is that non-communicable diseases, the mortality attributable to non-communicable diseases is at an alarming state.
Right.
As I speak to you now, we have not less than 43% of our mortality attributable to the non-communicable diseases. So it's we are at a very crucial stage. We need swift interventions. So during the 2024 general elections, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, typical of him, decided to think outside the box and then promised the good people of this country that he will establish what we call Mahama Case. In actual fact, the name is Ghana Medical Trust Fund. In order to subsidize the treatment of chronic diseases, such as the cancer, kidney failure, cardiovascular diseases, and all that. And that is not going to be done in isolation because there's something we are also rolling out called the free primary health care. So the free primary health care will now be dealing with the early stages of these diseases so that we don't even get to that complications anyway. And so we will be factoring processes where we can go to the marketplaces, social gatherings to be even checking the BP of people, sugar levels and what have you. So that will be dealt with at the primary health care level. So the primary health care will have a link with the Mahama Care. And so what we are doing is that we're establishing a fund. You know, it is estimated that a patient with one of these conditions will spend not less than 50 to 53,000 Ghana cedis a year.
A year. In even managing it.
You understand? And what it does is that once you are into this condition, most of them are not curable. You have to manage them. Okay? And so we need money. When you get into this condition, it either, pulls you into poverty.
Of course.
Or pulls you into your grave.
But I can give you a typical example where a relation of mine had some kind of a boil. She's over 60 years. Around the breast area. Then she went to hospital. She's been told that they've diagnosed her as, having breast cancer. And the latest is that because maybe when they started, she didn't take closer attention to it. Now, it's spread to a point where they have to now they have to cut the true breast away. Already a lot of money is going into it, and this is even going to...
I like, you see, when you start narrating this story, everybody can relate. Everybody in this country. I can relate, you can relate. The president recounted experiences he has gone through.
In fact, his own personal stories.
Exactly. So everybody can simply relate. So at this point, we must look at how we can get people out of these conditions. And you see, it will interest you to know that the statistics show clearly that those with these diseases, majority of them fall within the ages of 18 to 45 years.
18 to 45.
Yes, the most productive wing of the population are suffering. So it means that it will have a direct correlation with the productivity, of course.
And I'm wondering whether we've done studies to understand why this category are the most vulnerable.
You see, one of the revelations today, one of the patients spoke, it's also largely due to ignorance. And she said that she was of the opinion that, this is the rich man's disease. Those who eat, according to her, she used a word like,
exactly.
You understand? And so when we begin to create the awareness, the sensitization, link it with the primary health care, and then after doing all these, those who get into the complicated stage, how the state can come in to help manage the situation, mitigate the effect, so that although you have the conditions, but you can live for quite reasonable number of years. You understand? Some people sell all their property.
Of course.
Sell even their TVs and what have you. So by the time, he's dead, nothing is left behind.
And that's the worst part. You will spend so much, but you will not even survive.
Exactly. So we are establishing the fund, and we are looking at, fortunately enough, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has uncapped the national health insurance. So now we are looking at that free fall, you understand, the money coming from the removal of the capping to take care of things like the Mahama Cares, the free primary health care, and then the withdrawal of the USAID.
Right.
This is what we are looking at. So apart from that, we are looking at corporate Ghana coming to contribute. In fact, today, I developed goosebumps when some people
started donating.
Donating.
I've watched
Professor Aite, who is a pensioner, after speaking, donated an envelope. He even didn't want us to disclose the amount. So Mr. President gave the envelope to me and later took it back. And he wanted to know what this pensioner at all, how much at all can this pensioner give.
And the same person was also part of putting this thing together.
It will shock you to know that pensioner donated $1,000 to this for the program. $1,000.
And I've also seen Mr. Seydou Agongo $500,000.
Yes, so a lot of people have even called me, and within the next 72 hours, we will announce a short code where everybody can also contribute to, realize this wonderful initiative.
Okay. But the question is, some of these ailments are already captured under the National Health Insurance scheme. So how
legitimate concern.
Yes,
so
exactly.
What we are doing is that we are coming to take off from where National Health Insurance ends.
Okay.
So whatever National Health Insurance covers, Mahama Care will not cover that aspect. So we are coming to build on whatever national. You see, if we decide to put everything on the National Health Insurance scheme, it will collapse.
Right.
And these are very expensive treatments. So we decided to take a portion, go look for funding from elsewhere, combine them, and then begin to run that scheme to provide relief to, families with these chronic diseases.
And so the government contribution is a 3 billion Ghana cedis.
Yes. So now it is in the initial stage. We need about 3 billion Ghana cedis for the next first year. Second year, we need about 3 billion. So yearly for now, the projection, just like the National Health Insurance, once, we run the scheme, we realize that we can add on more diseases. So they were adding on and adding on. But for the initial stages for this chronic disease, the cancer, the cardiovascular diseases, we need about 3 billion. And that 3 billion, we are taking a percentage from the uncapping money and then go look for the rest somewhere.
I've spoken to doctors on this show, and from Kolebu especially, and sometimes they are so alarmed at people who are dying from cardiovascular diseases. And then they trace it to the fact that lifestyle changes, people not eating right, and the stress that people are going through are the major cause. As we seek to cure them, what is the plan to deal with it at the base before it gets to a place where we have to rely on Mahama Care to deal with the matter?
So that is why I initially mentioned the free primary health care. Okay. And so you have to start checking your pressure. You have to start checking your sugar level. You have to start doing ECG to know how your heart is functioning and all that. So that if you're able to detect it early, you'll be able to do something about it. So that will be connected to the primary health care, which of course at the CHIPS level, the health center level, that will be free. So all these things, and those, by and large, those ones will be borne by the National Health Insurance scheme or fund.
And so if at some point this is fully operational, what will be the process to apply for support from the fund?
Okay, so what you would do is that you must be a Ghanaian, and then you must be diagnosed, and at least you must go for a second opinion to be endorsed by at least 2 medical doctors. And all these processes, your medical doctor will assist you. Then you add the relevant documents, your health, whether you have been referred or something, you add them to it. Then you fill what you call the Mahama Care forms, application forms. So when you fill, you submit. When you submit, maximum 2 weeks, you receive a reply.
Okay, and this will be managed separate from...
Yes, it's a statutory body. So we have a statutory trustee that will run the fund and manage them. In some cases, we will have to invest some of the money to get some dividends for it to grow and all that. So it will be managed separately from the other funds.
Okay, and when do you expect that it will become fully operational?
Well,
after the launch today?
Yes, very, very, very soon. Because at the moment, the policy document is ready, the bill is ready. Immediately we come from recess.
You're going to put it before Parliament?
We're going to put it before Parliament. There's a dedicated source of funding ready. We're going to pass the National Health Insurance formula for 2025, and that money is available to take care of it. So very, very, very soon.
Someone is asking whether there's been piloting has been done on this, or after the launch, is now that you want to see how this will be rolled out?
Well, we have had cases of this nature for a very long time. So, in fact, I mean, in some cases, people even make some appeal to National Health Insurance to see whether out of the scope we can even assist them. So we have experienced, we have spoken to the experts in the field. We even did a survey. About 3,300 people responded to the survey. You understand?
Okay.
And about 79% of the people clearly indicated that it is necessary. They are even ready to contribute and all that. So we've done, I mean, a lot of work on it to indicate that clearly when we start the operationalization, we'll be on a good path.
And I heard Professor Adenu from the Physicians and Surgeons talk about the fact that currently we need over 60,000 specialists. If this is going to succeed, we need people in readiness to give that care that is required. And currently we have a huge gap. I don't know what the plan is as you lead this very important ministry to address this, specialist absence in our healthcare delivery.
So at that point, when Professor Adenu was talking, then the president turned to me and asked me whether or not I'm right. So it is something we are going to take up seriously. I'm constantly in touch with Professor Adenu, and he has brought forth some other proposals. We've also listened widely. And one of the proposals is to be able to make the other regional hospitals, upgrade them, make them teaching hospitals so that they can train more of these specialties. And then it's doable.
Okay.
And we'll be looking in that direction to double in order to fill the deficit we have at the moment, because there's a huge deficit when it comes to the treatment of chronic disease, especially at this complicated stage.
All right. So, but you have inherited quite some challenges at the ministry.
Yeah.
Agenda 111, I don't know how you are dealing with it.
So Agenda 111 is very popular in this country, and as I have always indicated, we have health infrastructure deficit in the health sector, but unfortunately, the way Agenda 111 was started and operationalized, or if you like, implemented, was not the best. And so it has left a lot of challenges in the sector. Initially, it was at the presidency, but now His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has brought it back to the ministry.
Okay.
And so he has asked us that we should we should audit the whole Agenda 111 project, because at the moment, not less than $400 million have been sunk into this project.
Right.
Meanwhile, not a single one of them is in operation as I speak to you. Okay. If we had decided that we're going to stagger the construction of these hospitals, this $400 million alone would have completed not less than 20 of these hospitals, and it would have been in operation by now.
Right.
And so it's a huge challenge. We are assessing the situation. What we need at the moment is a way forward, a solution, which...
The last time we heard about it, the figure was mentioned, $1.7 billion or something. Is this still the figure you are working with?
So the overall figure for the completion of all the projects was around between 1.7 to 1.9 billion. Okay? And now, out of it, about 400. So we need between 1.5 to 1.7 billion dollars to be able to finish everything.
And how are we going about funding?
So that is why I don't want to preempt the audits and then the blueprints Mr. President has asked us to furnish him. But we are doing the auditing, and Mr. President has already made some public pronouncement about taking the public sector on board. For example, CHAG. He made the stakeholders in charge and told them that, look, you can come on board because for all these years, you've been partnering government so well. If you go to these facilities, government is paying for the compensations of nurses and medical doctors. So we've been partnering. So we'll bring them in, but we have to do the auditing. The auditing will then advise us or will guide us as to the way forward.
So much interest in the Mahama care. Someone is asking, is sickle cell covered under the scheme?
I've not heard sickle cell for now. But as I told you, it grows. National Health Insurance, we didn't used to have this number of diseases, okay? But now it's growing. So now what we are focusing on, what has been the conversation, is about the kidney failures, the cancers, the cardiovascular disease.
Right.
I mean, the hypertension-related disease and all that. So as it grows, we'll see what we can do.
We are wrapping up. We got a statement about entry to nursing training. Can you clarify it for me? You got people.
Okay, so
I'm getting so much text also on that as well.
When they get you on the platform, they want to ask you almost everything.
It's like you asking questions on the floor.
That's good. So yes, this year we are going to begin to sell the forms for the nursing training colleges, and we have reduced the cost sales of the forms. We've reduced it from 200 Ghana cedis to 150. So we were supposed to even start the sales, I think, around 22nd, when we realized something that we can do something better than what we came to meet. Why would you have to walk or transport yourself from Hemiha to Dwaboso to come and deposit 150 Ghana cedis in ADB Bank?
Right.
So there's a way you can sit at the comfort of your house and then just go online and buy and fill.
Okay.
So that's what we are looking at. And we are almost done. And by the 5th of May, we will, communicate the sales of the forms and how people will be able to access the forms. And that will be an easier way of going about it than paying a TNT of about 100 Ghana cedis to go and deposit
it makes no
150.
Sense. It makes no sense.
It makes no sense. So we have improved upon the system, and I believe that Ghanaians will bear with us.
Finally, have you broken bread with your friends at the Tamale Teaching Hospital?
No, my friends are now doing amazingly well. They are working and everything is fine.
Everything is fine. All right. And I'm guessing under your leadership, we wouldn't see a lot of industrial issues on our health.
We'll do our best. We'll do our best. This is a sector, we have more than 80 unions.
Under the sector?
Under the sector. You are dealing with more than 80 unions. So each and every union has its own peculiar circumstances,
right,
what they want and all that. So we'll be humble enough to work with them. We'll work closely. And I've always told them that union leaders will have to work with people in authority to find solutions to the challenges their members are going through. So we all have to work together.
All right.
That's all.
Honorable, we are with you.
Thank you very much.
I hope that you will research the health sector.
Thank you very much. That's the deal.
Kabla Kando is the health minister. And folks, that's our show for today. For more stories, log on to our website, manjoonline.com. We've got an extensive discussion on this matter, on Top Story, and of course on Newsnight, plus the Ghana Bar Association latest statement. The current President Mahama's suspension of the Chief Justice as unconstitutional. All that come your way in subsequent bulletins. My name is Elton Robe. Have a good evening.